Years in the planning, and after months of anticipation and several teases on my YouTube channel and my Instagram account, the Davis Blade Works DPC serial number Davis number 2 is finally here. Let's talk about it. Hi gang, Rob here. It's the evening of 27 November 2013, and what a big day this is. We've got a knife to talk about, and it comes with a story. Some of you know little bits and pieces of this story. This knife is one that's never before been seen by the one who purchased it ever, anywhere. Not even another one just like it. This knife is the first fixed blade drop point ever produced by Davis Blade Works. For sale, anyway. How's that? And I got it. How cool is that? Look here. A maker, a company so new, doesn't even have his logo yet. But oh, what a talent. Look at that. Davis number 2. Davis number 1 was a drop dashi, a kiradashi made from the drops, the in-between metal, from the water jet cutting of the drop point blanks. Number 2 is the first completed drop point. John Davis is the proprietor of Davis Blade Works, the maker, and his first run of 20 knives are half drop points and half warnishes, as he calls them. They're Warncliffe-ish, so they're warnishes. This is the first one shipped. You guys on YouTube know John as J Davis 882 for the last few years. John has been sort of a knife aficionado and collector, and he's a rather expert sharpener. Lots of us who sharpen knives have picked up some finer points from John. He's also a very critical reviewer and a very discerning eye when it comes to knives. Lots of us who are watching this review probably have subscribed to John for a while. And for several years, at least a couple, he's been contemplating a rather large career move that involved quitting his day job in order to start, yes, I said start, a knife company, becoming a full-time knife maker. And he finally made that leap this summer, and I think it was late June, early July, that John announced this move, and he threw out there into the YouTube universe what he was going to do, what he was going to make first, how many he was going to make, and offered them for pre-order. And John and I had really, at that point, never had any contact other than me commenting on his videos. But I was such a big fan of the way he thought and the way he dissected a knife and the way he sharpened a knife. I thought, you know what, this kid has got it together. He's got a plan, and I'm pretty sure he's going to make good knives. So I immediately contacted him and said, I want one. This is it. Talked to him again beginning of August. He was starting to feel the pain of this venture, and he asked, although he had initially said he wasn't going to take any money till the knives were ready to ship, but he called me, maybe the last of July, 1st of August, said, Rob, if you could, if you don't mind, could you pay for your knife? And I said, you know what, John, I want to support you in this venture. I trust you. I'm going to send you your money, and I did. So we waited and we waited and we watched shop updates. And John moved in the middle of all this to a different city. Had to set up his shop in a new house. And finally, he's cranking away. He's made some blades and he's tested some blades, destroyed some blades testing them. This one, although it started out to be pretty much the knife that we had talked about him making for me, this was not the knife that he intended to ship to me. He actually did it as a prototype. Most of his knives were going to be flat ground from about here down with flats at the tang and across the top. He started to experiment with a full flat grind, and this was the first one. When I saw his video and saw that it had my handle color with my titanium pins, and it was full flat ground and 9/1000ths of an inch behind the edge, I immediately contacted him and said, you got to finish that one for me. That's exactly what I would have ordered to every detail. He said no problem, and he finished it out just beautifully, didn't he? He does a polish, or at least a very fine satin on the blade, and then it goes to the blaster, and then it's stonewash. And let's see if you can pick this up. It's a very fine stonewash. And a very fine stonewash is pretty much all you're going to get on this steel. It is CPM S90V heat treated to 62 to 63 Rockwell. It laughs at the stones. But isn't that a cool finish? It ought to be very resistant to marking. It shouldn't show scratches very bad. Because it is stonewashed over that blast, even in salty, moist, nasty conditions, it should resist rust pretty well. What a little beauty. He actually made these to be neck knives. And before I get into really looking in depth and in detail at this knife, let's talk about some dimensions and statistics. As I said, blade steel is CPM S90V at 62 to 63 Rockwell. The handle material on mine is blue and black layered G10 with titanium pins and a stainless lanyard tube that we sort of added at the last minute. It was just a plain hole through the G10 and the tang of the blade, and he mentioned that he was going to be ordering some stainless steel tube, and I said, hey John, I think it would really finish the look of the knife if you add that tube to my knife. And although it's not titanium like the pins, it sure does match well. And then there's another little finish detail I didn't even know about till I got the knife today. If you look at the spine of the knife, and then all the way around the edge, it's a beautiful, pretty fine satin, which I think might have been necessitated by our last minute switch to the lanyard tube, because he had to do some refinishing after he installed it. But it may have been that way anyway. And John, if you're watching, weigh in the comments. I didn't know if that was a post-tube process or whether it was part of the shaping and contouring of the G10. Either way, it really looks great, and it's a very nice and subtle contrast to the stonewash on the flats. I really, really like it. It's just gorgeous looking down at the spine. Something John's pretty proud of here, so I better mention it. It's full flat ground, and we're looking dead at the spine. Can you tell where the main bevel starts by looking at the spine? Nope, you can't. No punch through. The spine is exactly, perfectly straight. No dig from the beginning of that grind. It contour of the handle is just amazing. It looks pretty round, doesn't it? And it is, but it's also got some pretty nice little shoulders. Let's see if you can pick that up. So the knife, even though it's small and round, it doesn't really want to turn in your hand. Really neat. Okay, I'm digressing. We were going to talk about dimensions. Okay, the sheath, and we'll talk about the sheath in more detail later, but it is set up for neck carry. Made of kydex with the carbon fiber pattern. Bright stainless rivets. The first sheath, actually the second one, because he didn't like the first one he made for this knife, John has ever made, and it came out great. And John sent it with the Indianapolis Colts blue paracord necktie. Okay, now let's talk dimensions. Blade length on this baby is 3 3/8 inches. The cutting edge length is 3 1/8. Handle length is 3 1/2 inches, and the overall length of the blade, let's see if you guys were paying attention, 6 7/8, 6.875. Blade thickness is 160 thousandths. Roughly 4 millimeters for those of you who use the metric system. Thickness behind the edge is a scary skinny 9 thousandths, 0.009 inches, and John sharpened this with a single bevel, 18 degrees per side. Not super acute, but with a 9 thousandths thickness behind the edge, I'm not sure you want it much thinner than that. The weight of this knife alone is 2.9 ounces. With the sheath and the neck cord, the whole package weighs 4.3 ounces. How's that, guys? I kind of like it. Just got it today. I like it as a neck knife. It's plenty small enough to be used in that application, but the holes on the sheath, the top two, are, at my request, are exactly an inch apart to accept a mini tech lock. So you could go up to 1.5 inch webbing with a mini tech lock, or 1.5 inch belt, and carry it that way. So very, very flexible in its methods of carry. Let's take a look at the fit in the sheath. It's so skinny and so sharp, you really sort of have to pay attention getting it in there. Now, he's not Gavco. You know, his sheaths don't like fly off into oblivion when you break them loose with your thumb like Mike's do, but still, plenty easy to get out. Just a little story. I did learn something about this sheath system today. It's a really bad idea to push off this way with your thumb at the cutting edge. Now, I already knew that, guys. I just wasn't paying attention. I was trying to get a picture on Instagram, had the knife upside down, and it bit me. And I'm gonna stop the camera and roll in a still of my Instagram photo of this right when I did it. Hang on a minute. Yeah, that was pretty gruesome, huh? And I didn't do that on purpose, by the way, just to get a good picture on Instagram. But it worked out well. And, you know, frankly, John was a little hesitant, a little reluctant, a little teary about putting this knife in the mail, because, you know, it's kind of his first one that he sold, and I think he would have really liked to had his knife and sold it too. So I had to send him a picture of my bloody thumb so he would, you know, be able to have closure, because since it has cut me, it now belongs to me forever. Let's look at the retention. Look at that, no rattle, not coming out. But let's, you know, look at it. Let's say it's a neck knife and I'm drawing it quickly. No problem there. Really, really nice. First sheath he's ever made for sale. Let's look closely at this knife. Remember, guys, this is John's first complete knife with a handle he's ever sold. And let's look. Just look at the finish on that thing. It's pretty hard to really see the symmetry in the sharpened edge because it's so tiny. Look how tiny that is, even at 18 degrees per side. Look at the gorgeous drop point profile of that blade. The finger choil is so perfect. So perfect. Even with the only 3.5-inch handle, look. All 4 fingers, my hands, I wear a large size glove. I sort of have medium large hands. What great purchase. I mean, that knife's not going anywhere. What a super little fine task blade it is. Everything's pretty straight. Let's take a look. This is sort of the, this is the back alley of a knife right here. Where the ricasso meets the sharpening choil and the base of the blade. You know what? It's not perfect, but it's pretty close. A little bit of an angle going this way. Not, you might have just bumped this with the sander. Remember, this wasn't originally going to be for sale. It's something he might have kept for a tester, but maybe not too. Guys, I've seen a lot of knives with a lot worse mistakes than that. You got to look close to see it, really, don't you? Then where the finger choil ends, we've got this transition into the main body of the knife, almost a little sub-hilt point here. Now that might look like that point isn't dead straight across, and it's not. However, John tailored this choil for the left hand because he knew I was a left-hander. And if you look, it's kind of hard to show on camera, but the index finger actually cuts that way. And that's the way it's off, which it fits like a glove. The flats and the G10 are super consistent on both sides in shape and in dimension. I just can't say enough about this knife. Just so well proportioned, so comfortable. And guys, you need to sort of go watch John's his testing videos over the last couple weeks, November 2013. He made a couple knives very similar to this and did some, as you would expect him to. He took them to destruction just to see how this S90V would hold up, heat treated really hard and ground really thin. And it's pretty amazing because S90V does not have a reputation for being a particularly tough steel. But that means, you know what, it was heat treated really well, and it was cared for really well in the after heat treat grinding. The steel hasn't been overheated or burned, and my gracious, what an edge it took. And you guys who watch my videos know I have never purchased a new knife and been able to leave it alone, leave the edge alone for more than a couple days without sharpening it. And I was kind of joking back and forth with John today as we were texting after I got the knife. He and I both kind of think this way because we're both sharpeners, but a knife is never sharp until I have sharpened it. However, this is one that I'm not going to touch until it gets dull. He did a super job on this edge. Of course, sharpening an edge that's only 9/1000ths thick, that's kind of nice. Not much material to remove there to get it sharp. But he did a great job. Now, I'm going to risk a little paper cutting here through the camera. And frankly, guys, I'm not on my paper cutting game today. So if this doesn't look good, it's my fault, not the knives. I want you to just listen to these cuts, though, because they're amazingly smooth. Just push cutting. That's some paper, got bark in it or something. Yeah, it's a razor, guys. Thank you, John. I have never had a new knife that's this sharp, ever, from any maker at any price. Not even an overly thin, burned up Kershaw. I think I will probably have some more to say about this knife as time goes by, but I just want to encourage John in his new career, because for a first time out, buddy, home run. And for you guys watching, keep an eye on Davis Blade Works, John Davis. He's got a new YouTube channel that is Davis Blade Works. His old one is JDavis882, but I don't think he's using that for his knife business anymore. So if you're subscribed to JDavis882, but not Davis Blade Works, and you want to follow his knife making, you need to sub Davis Blade Works. I will put a link to his channel in the description, and also his email address. If you want to communicate with John, email is the best way, not PMing through YouTube. He just doesn't check that. And if you do email him, I can also tell you this from experience, John's a great sharpener, he's a great knife maker. He's not the best email returner. So if you email him and don't hear back, be persistent. He will get back to you. But he is a very busy guy with a lot of stress, and I think about 16 or 18 more knives to get done to ship to people who are anxiously waiting, and they're going to be really anxious after they watch this video. I just can't say enough. By the way, pricing. This may be subject to change, and I don't know how many of these sort of EDC neckers John's going to make, because he's already got a folder in the CAD program. And you know how it usually goes with new makers. They make small fixed blades and then some bigger fixed blades, and then when they get some confidence, it's into the folder realm they go. And I would imagine that's what's going to happen here. But these little EDC neckers in the drop point or the Warnish, $225 to start. And mine's just a base model. If you want more exotic handle materials, different pins, and stuff that you discuss with John, that price could escalate. But $225 for sort of a basic model, and you do get to make some choices even at that price level. That's all I have for tonight. Again, great job, John. I am proud to be one of your first customers, and I'm really, really a happy owner of this knife. Hey, it's the night before Thanksgiving, guys, so grace to you and peace from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. If you know him, keep thanking him. Thank him a little more tomorrow. If you don't know the Lord, he wants to know you. This would be a good time to invite him into your heart. Y'all have a good night, and remember the word and my DPC, Davis number 2, are sharp.